Hello. Rushing around a little bit this morning. Hello. Hope everybody had a good weekend with whatever you got up to. It's another bad hair day with Lisa. I was like, oh yeah, we could do this on Monday, and I realised I was getting a bit too complicated about it, and it was all getting a bit, boring, for want of a better word. So I thought, okay, let's just take it back to, simple and fun stuff. So we looked at the star in the flowers as we talked about before. So that's the bindweed flower. This is the hibiscus bud opening. Can't remember what that one is. And that's the Herb Robert. There are loads more, lots of primroses out. So we're going to hello to everyone. Hello to India. India's always watching. Love India. And everyone else who's watching. So we looked at the flowers. Sorry, I'll get it together in a minute. So we're going to carry on, but what we're going to do this time is we're going to look at the journey of a star in the fruit. There you go. So you remember how we drew the star on Wednesday? We did the pentagonal pattern pack. If you haven't done all of this, you can go back to the videos page where all the videos are and have a look, or go to the website on Crisis Crafts page. They're all there. But we've got kind of a theme going with the stars, so I'm sort of carrying on with that. So we've seen it in flowers. We're now going to look at it in fruit. This is really simple. I went on a bit too long last Friday with the origami. That was fun and lots of people enjoyed that, but I felt it was maybe a bit long. But okay, apple, okay. There is a little bit of a star. Sometimes you can see it there. We're going to cut it through the middle, okay? I brought the kitchen into my studio today. Chopping board and kitchen knife. We're going to cut it through the belly, not down the middle, but across the belly. So that's the way it grows on the tree. You're going to chop through the tummy of it. Da, da, da. And can you see that in the middle? It's so lovely. I know that India discovered this last week. It's so lovely when all of a sudden you go, oh my God, there is a star there. And sometimes you can see the sort of outer points of it as well. It's not too clear on that, but you can see these sort of faint lines that go around the edge. And there's one at each kind of point. Carpels, that's what they call these. They're the carpels that hold the seed in. That's it, I remember now. And so they have one at the tip of each carpel, but they also have one sort of in between them as well. So you get that double pentagonal. Glad that worked. Apples have it. Pears also have it. And what I'm going to show you is it goes through a fantastic journey, because this is the fulfillment of the apple flower has become the fruit, and it's got its seeds inside there, which I've just chopped through, and we'll eat the rest of the fruit later on. So that's the flower reaching its highest fulfillment, if you like. But that pattern will go through it all the way through. So I have an apple tree in the garden. It hasn't got the leaves are only just coming out, but I do have a pear tree, and pears are the same. I haven't got any pears in the fridge, but if you slice a pear through the middle, you will find the same thing. It might not be as pronounced, but it is there. But I have a pear tree in the garden. I brought this in. It's covered in this blossom at the moment. Look at that. And can you see that star? So as we know, as we talked about before, it's got the 5 petals, which is one expression of the archetype. It's got the sepals behind, which was the bud that opened. The points, that's another expression of the archetype. And then it's got lots of those, the pollen with the dots in the middle. And if I actually had proper eyesight, I'd be able to actually sit and count those. And I suspect that they might be multiples of 5 because they usually are. I mean, obviously there's always a little bit of variation, but that's why we love it. So I've got a tree that's covered in that at the moment. I cut that bit off to show you all those stars. I mean, it's amazing. And then there was a bit of wind at the weekend, and there were lots of bees around last week, and so it blew the petals off, the ones that have faded. And this is what is left. Can you see? You can see that's the sepals from behind. So that star again, it's lost the petals, but now, am I doing that right? Yeah. But now you can see that star again. I just love it. It goes through so many different transformations of it. Now, in about a month, this bit here, the bit behind it here, will start to swell, and that is the fruit. That's where the pear is going to come. Or, in the case of an apple tree, that's where the apple is going to come. And then these sepals here will end up being those there, which is just so lovely. And you start to see it get bigger and bigger and bigger, and until it's about this size, and then you pull it off the tree, or you buy it from the supermarket, whichever is your bag. But I just think it's really, really beautiful to be aware of the journey that goes through. And it's not just in apples and pears. You can see it in quite a few things as well. It is in blueberries. I don't have a blueberry tree, but it's a blueberry bush. But it's the similar thing. Keep an eye on time, Lisa. In that the flower will fade, and then you'll be left with the little sepals at the bottom. And these are blueberries that came out of a packet. They're not brilliant for showing the stars. There was one that I found that showed it really well. It all depends on the variety as to how much they leave behind of their. That was good. How much they leave behind of their shape, if you see what I mean. I don't know whether you can see that one. Maybe you can't see that one. I'm probably just being like. But there is a tiny weeny star there. It's so nice to see that. And this is a strawberry flower. Again, you can see that really clearly on the sepals behind. They've actually got the double pentagonal shape. And then, but of course, this is a strawberry fruit. But the formation that these seeds go out in, we can start to see this. Because you think, oh, the seeds are there, but that's a pattern that we sort of recognise from pineapples. I don't actually have a pineapple to show you, which was a bit of a shame. I've got a pine cone here, and these are pine cones, which aren't dissimilar, and they do have a bit of a pattern, a bit of a spiral pattern that you can see. There is actually a similar thing in the pips of the strawberries, the way the strawberries are allowed. Now I'm going to do something with celery. Okay, I have done this before, but I haven't done it this morning because I've only got one pack of celery. Okay, and don't worry, I will be using this afterwards. And I'm hoping that this is going to work. You know, live and all that. So a whole pack of celery, as it would. It probably looks a little bit different to this when it comes out of the ground, but at the moment mine's coming from the supermarket. And I'm going to cut across the whole thing. I might have to go a bit lower than this. Yes, I'm hoping that this is going to work. I think I have to go. We're going to start to see something soon. I've got to put that. I'm going to keep that. I should have brought a bowl in. Now, very roughly, but can you see something there? Okay, I'm going to put pins in and actually hook something around. I've never actually done this before, so I'm slightly winging it here. But can you see what I'm doing? We're gonna connect these in a minute, and you know how we're going to connect them? I think you do if you've been watching avidly. Right, can you see what I've done? Put them in the outside ones, and now I'm going to tie. I've got a piece of wool here. I'm just tying it onto one so that I can show you. I've never actually done this before, and I just thought, oh yeah, this would show it because it would be difficult to see on screen. So I'm just going to tie that in a knot, and my fingers are shaking, so excuse me. I'm going to cut off the excess so it doesn't confuse the picture. And now what we're going to do is take our threading. See how it's on that bottom one there? Going to go, as we did with the star, across to the second one. I'm going to push them all down a bit more. Don't worry, I will be cooking with this later on. I've got a nice dish worked out. Okay, and to that one, you can see what I'm doing. Can you see what I'm doing? So, push that one down a bit more. Da, da, da. Can you see that? I know it's not perfect, but what we have done is taken all the ones that are on the outside. Of course it's not perfect, and we've created a star there, and this is the beginning of our journey into understanding how the star, this star that we did a lot of drawing with last week, starts to become this. Okay, this is what we're beginning to do now. At least I think so. I just thought this was so lovely when you do this. This carries on. Of course, you can go again to the ones on the inner ones, and it's another star inside, and another star inside, and another star inside. It's just about how the growing tips. There's a word for those things, a biological word. I don't know what it is. The growing tips sort of span out at a certain angle to allow the best amount of growth, so that they can. So that the plant, in this case the celery, can achieve the best crop that it can do for its circumstances. So they all send out at an angle, and the angle that they're sent out at relates to the pattern of our star. Okay, and if anybody knows a bit about, you know, divine geometry and all that, you probably know what that angle is, or what we refer to that as. But I think it's quite nice to actually demonstrate this rather than get too much into numbers. We can get into numbers, and that's all, you know, part of it, but I'm not a big fan of measuring things, so I quite like sort of demonstrating it. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that star we see in lots of things. This also is a pattern that's made by the Sun, Venus and the Earth. That is over the course of every 8 years they come into a conjunction, which is a straight line. The 3 planets are in a straight line. If you start to draw lines every time they do that over the course of how many years? Maybe it is 8 years. Over the course of a certain amount of years, it will create that pattern. That is profound. I've got a link to, there's quite a few videos of that process on the internet, and I'll link some to the page so that you can see. And I'm just going to leave you with that star. Of course, it's not perfect, but that's why I love it, and that's why it's going to be my dinner tonight. So on that note, I will love you and leave you, and thank you for watching. And I'll be back on Wednesday. We might do some painting on pine cones on Wednesday, or we might do some measuring. I'm not sure. Okay, all right, take care. Bye.